Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Disney Deconstructed podcast. I am your host, Lane Calder. Today, I am joined, as always, by my good friends Jake Moody
Yo.
and Spencer Bennett.
Hello, everybody.
And today, we are also joined by the very special guest, Tobias Lerman Matonte. Hello, Toby.
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be here.
Thank you. We are glad to have you. So,
Psyched.
So today we are going to be talking about some news because for once we actually have news. We're going to be talking about the Shanghai Disneyland reopening and the whole insane Twitter reaction to that. And we're also going to be talking about some Percy Jackson. You can now make hotel reservations at WDW, but they are canceling June reservations. So that's kind of confusing. And we're going to talk on that. Talk about the reopening of Disney Springs and Universal City Walk. And then we'll talk with Toby about some experiences that he had in Tokyo Disneyland and some WDW events that he's been to. And then lastly, we'll wrap up by doing our picks of the week. So yeah, it's going to be a fun show. Let's start off with the Shanghai reopening. Jake, introduce us.
Well, actually, I was going to say if I can boomerang that right to Spencer, because I don't know if I watched like that main video. I mean, I was more interested in like seeing how they were working through the queues and like seeing what the character interactions were going to be like and things like that. But you were telling me like you were really emotional watching like the reopening. So I wanted to ask you about that.
So, there were many videos of when people came into the parks that the characters were up on like the train stations and like waving to people, and people were like crying. Like guests were walking into the park and like sobbing because I mean Disney parks just are that safe place for people. And when they closed, I think the virus and the pandemic became a lot more real than it was before. So to see it reopening and see all these people get emotional coming back in, kind of feeling like there was some semblance of normalness coming back to the world was like very powerful. As silly as it sounds, like Mickey Mouse waving from the train station at some guests in Shanghai, it's powerful stuff. But like you, Jake, I thought the way they were I was most interested in seeing how they were operating. I know my girlfriend was in actual tears. I didn't cry. I was very moved, but she texted me and said, like, I'm sobbing watching Shanghai videos. And I mean, it is powerful stuff, dude. It's emotional.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of Twitter videos and pictures uploaded, mainly of like the main thing that I saw was that people were videotaping how live shows are now being done. And there's like little yellow boxes on the ground where you can stand safely away from people. So that's definitely been like the most interesting thing that I've seen. Again, like reiterating, it was interesting to see how they're doing this. Everyone seemed to have masks on that I saw. I feel like the Twitter reaction to this has been very mixed. A lot of people are very happy that it's open, and a lot of people I saw were kind of memeing or making fun of the fact that they're open in this sort of situation where it's like, oh, they're separating people with simple tape on the ground and whatnot, which I personally didn't really get, because it's like what grocery stores and everyone is doing right now.
Yeah, that's to be expected, I think.
Yeah, but I think that the way they're going about it is overall good, especially because China is ahead of, where the U.S. is, at least right now. But yeah, Jake, what's your opinion?
I don't know, like rewinding though, having, at least in America, having sports stuff and having Disneyland and Disney World closed was like, I think, a wake-up call to everybody. If you weren't
doesn't get more American than that.
Right, I mean, a lot of people, that is what made it real for a lot of people. Disneyland never closed and things like that. So that's why it was a big deal. And then having the first one reopen in mainland China, where the whole thing started, is like a really nice like beacon of hope at the end of the tunnel. I don't know if what they're doing is effective. Is it not effective? To talk about when Disney Springs opens and seeing what they've been doing at Universal City Walk, who knows? Florida seems like it's got some crazy rules going on in terms of like them saying that live sports are welcome to come here if they want to like work out some rules with the MLB and the NBA and all these crazy things. But the biggest takeaway for me and seeing Shanghai, regardless of the characters, which we'll get into, what they've been doing is really interesting. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just like a different way to do it. But this was like my first time ever paying attention to Shanghai and seeing their rides. I mean, I had watched a ton of stuff about their pirates because that's like their big thing. But videos pop up on my Twitter and looking around, it's like their Toy Story Land is so cool. And their adventure lands, like with that like harness thing, they're just like climbing rocks and like on rope courses. It's awesome. So that park is really cool. And I never really gave it much thought other than Tron and Pirates. So that's what I took away from it, other than it being a huge step in a positive direction. It just looks like a really cool place, where before it seemed like so foreign to me that I would never really experience it. But yeah, that's what I was thinking watching all of it.
Nice. Toby, what's your opinion? Like, should Shanghai be open? Should it not be open? Is this the right timing? Let's get your outsider opinion.
It's a mixed bag. It's got some good things. I mean, for me, just when I got the news that it was reopening, I was like, thank God there's a Disney park open. It's dumb. You know, I'm an annual pass holder here. I used to go all the time, and then like for you guys, it's just it closed, and I was like, nah, it didn't close. You know, I got to go Rise of Resistance once, and I was like, you can't just close. I wanted to go again anyway. So I do like that they're figuring it out and that they're doing things, but at the same time, you know, part of the reason we go to Disney parks, or anyone goes to Disney park, is for that bubble effect. You know, you go in there, you're stepping into the world of tomorrow. You're stepping into fantasy. You don't go into a Disney park to think about reality. And the problem with these new measures, to have these tape boxes, to have this, is that reality suddenly just bursts that bubble. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, that bubble, that effect that you are like, I am no longer in Anaheim or Orlando or Tokyo. I'm in fantasy. That's just gone, because now you have this disease, one way or another, still intruding on what makes Disney special to everyone. So, and I'm happy it's open. You know, I'm glad. Personally, I would have probably done what Florida's doing, maybe open like the dining districts first, go from there, take your time with it and see, because I don't know, part of me would kill to have Disney open at half capacity, the one here, you know, and able to go back. But at the same time, do I want this place that's so sacred to me to be, you know, disturbed by the virus, to have to go in there and see people in masks and boxes, and to not be able to do, you know, not be able to go sit down with people to go see Fantasmic or something like that. So I don't know, it's a mixed bag. I'm really happy, but thinking about it from the experience standpoint, we can't just assume that when they do open, it's going to be the same thing, because it's clearly not, you know, unfortunately. Yeah. So
absolutely agreed. I think that, like, I hadn't considered that, but I do think that there's something to say about how the quote unquote magic is kind of suffering due to the coming in of these measures. Mm-hmm. Is Shanghai Disneyland like partially owned by Shanghai or by China in general? Or
no,
I believe that's just Tokyo.
That's in Hong Kong is owned by the government, I think, part of it. But
right.
Shanghai's fully Disney.
Yeah, so it'll be I think that it's going to be interesting as those rollouts happen. Like, if the difference between like the more government run type things, like whether they have more or less restrictions than Disney has already implemented on their own. Mm-hmm. So I think that may be something interesting to watch. Here in the US, we've watched Disney Springs open, or it's going to open on the 20th.
City Walk opened. Yeah, City Walk opened, I think, just now. Yeah. But I don't know how it's going to, like, the rollouts here might be totally different too. Like, I also think we're going to see massive shifts between how it's rolled out in Florida and how it's rolled out in Anaheim, just because the government response is so different, you know?
For sure.
So I think we might see the parks open at Disney World much before we see Disneyland or California Adventure reopen. So I hope I'm wrong, but yeah.
Right. Have you guys been paying attention to what Six Flags is doing and their rollout system? That's really interesting. They're paving the way in front of everybody, and I think Disney's going to take a lot of notes to see if it goes successfully or not.
I think
Six Flags doing.
they're doing like you reserve. You have to. It's for pass holders. You have to reserve a date when you can go, and I think that could work really well. Not so much in Florida because remember the dynamics you have in the two different resorts. Florida is a tourist park for the most part,
Right.
where people from outside come in. Our park in LA is a local park, so I think that could work.
It would work better that way though.
Yeah, I think
it works easier in Orlando because people are already prepping so much.
Really, I think it could work better in Anaheim just because of the amount of pass holders we have. So you could just send out a pass holder thing at first before they even open to the public. It could be annual pass holders, the first ones, and you're like, you guys get to reserve this, kind of like how Galaxy's Edge did it when they first opened up. I could see
really similar to that.
Exactly. I could see them doing that, being like, if you're a pass holder, but maybe depending on your tier too, I wouldn't knowing Disney, I wouldn't be surprised. You can reserve a date to go, and you go from that. I wouldn't mind that, honestly. I think it could make it better. So
it seems to make a lot of sense. Yeah, like what he was saying, they're doing it in terms of like they're tiering it with the passes. So like the max pass, which includes you can go to all the Six Flags parks across America and includes parking, whatever. That's like the very top. So if you reserve it, going to be able to get in, and then it goes all the way down, and then it goes to just like a single day ticket. But Six Flags didn't say how many people like are capped out, but it's going to be a reservation system. Masks are required. If you don't have one, they can give it to you there. They're like, you can buy a mask at the same time.
Get a little Bugs Bunny mask.
A spot, probably.
They'll charge you $15 for
it. They've been putting a lot of emphasis on the virtual queue, so it's going to force Six Flags to really renovate themselves, which is nothing but a good thing. I mean, at Magic Mountain, growing up here, Toby, you probably know. Did you go to Magic Mountain a lot growing up?
Oh, dude, I had the annual. I think I had the annual pass for like since I was 11 until I was like 16 or something like that.
And standing in that Tatsu line on a hot July day for 2 hours.
Standing in any line at Magic Mountain was that place is just not
so hot.
Logistically.
So it's built on a hill, literally. It's like a hike
in Valencia, so you die. Yeah, no, it's a place.
It seems interesting. They're giving a penalty, so if you don't show up when you reserve, you're gonna have to either pay like a portion of what it was or whatever. They're gonna be sending like push notifications to all the people who asked for it in advance, so you can only book your day like 2 weeks prior to the day happening. But it seems like a completely doable, unreal system. To the point where Magic Mountain's about to be open. In the coming weeks, you're going to be able to go to Six Flags.
But I don't. Yeah, sorry.
Well, it was new sign.
I just don't see Magic. I just don't see Magic Mountain. Like I don't know how, because like Disneyland's operations are fantastic, you know. Right. But if you've known, Six Flags operations are beyond awful. They are
no good. Right.
They're not so yeah.
They're in the same position as Disney, which is they're going to be losing money until it's up, and they need to figure out a way to do it, whether it's completely retraining all the cast members to like make it as efficient as possible or what. But they've got a real plan in place, and it's happening. I don't know what Universal's thing is in terms of the parks, but City Walk is open, and if you saw these videos, man, it's crazy. There was, I don't know if it went viral. It went viral in our little sphere at least. But they had a cast member just spraying and like disinfecting the escalator like handrail, standing there all day clean. That's nuts. That's not sustainable. I mean, that's awesome that this guy is up for it, and that it's, I guess, creating
a job. Yeah,
right.
What do you do?
They've got temperature checks now at the City Walk, which is going to be everywhere. That's another thing Six Flags is doing. Disney Springs is opening. These things are happening, for better or for worse. I mean, like I was saying at the last show, I am not going to be there opening day, opening month, as much as I would like to be. I just feel like it's not even that it's too early. It's just personally, I'm not willing to jump through all these hoops to go get Earl of Sandwich. but I mean, it's happening and it's exciting. I mean, say what you will, like about the politics behind this whole thing, but seeing life starting to happen little by little is, nothing but exciting.
Getting back on that heat point, how is a park like Six Flags going to do with water? Because they can't have water fountains. That park is an oven. And then if people have to pay for water, are they going to let people guests bring in their own water now? Because I don't think they used to do that. Like, are they going to have to redo their policy there? Are they going to have like maybe those things you can put in your water fountain in and the water, like, you know, those things? Like maybe that's where it's going to go. But like in Southern California in the summer, you need water. And if you can't have water fountains, you're going to have a lawsuit for another thing. It's not going to be anything related to coronavirus.
Another thing about the Six Flags, which is interesting, and it says a lot about what like the board, like the higher ups of Six Flags are thinking of the general public, which is they put an emphasis on like their press release of you can reserve multiple times at once. So like within your 2-week window or whatever, you can have 3 reservations at Magic Mountain for, you know, a couple days spaced out, and then also 1 up in San Jose, and then 1 in St. Louis. And they said, like, for people that are trying to do roller coaster trips, which is a lot of people, it's a weird niche community, but there are people who, you know, spend their summer road tripping and trying to go on all these vacations. They're leaving that option open, which the easier thing to do is you have 1 reservation and you can't book until you go to make sure that people are really following these rules. But they're keeping it more loosey-goosey to hope that people do that, which is saying a lot from their perspective. I mean, they've got stats and they're like the business people. And if they think that the public is itching for that enough, then maybe they are. I mean, you guys probably all saw the crowds at City Walk. There's a huge line for people just waiting to get into a mall.
I've been telling you, man, that the narrative that these parks won't be busy when they open is just wrong. They're going to be packed. People are going to rush.
Shanghai Disneyland sold out immediately after it reopened.
So fast.
People...
You see, I know the culture is very different. I actually watched a vlog about, I don't remember if it was Tokyo or Shanghai, but just like an American visiting one of the parks was just like kind of shelling how it's just a completely different experience.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's no personal space. People are just lying on the ground. Yeah, I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about that.
I can talk about that later, but yeah,
right,
definitely.
But if they take those same measures, which is like those taped boxes, 1 person can stand and it's like a 20-person circle, just watching like Chip and Dale do a little skit. It's like, how is that gonna work? Because I know that we're very different culturally, but I just have a hard time believing that like it's just gonna happen like that. I don't know if people are just gonna be open to like having like I was saying, so many hoops to jump through for something that has felt previously so normal. When you pay all this money to go to this place,
people did it for Rise of the Resistance, though. I mean, I got up at 5 a.m. You know, I did my spiel. I got in the car, exhausted. I slept like 3 hours, and I did it. You know, so like, I guess when people want something, they don't care. I mean, I've seen people wait like an hour in line for a popcorn bucket. So,
especially Disney fans, like
especially
they're just
Disney
very
fans,
passionate fans.
Exactly.
I think going on like how the shows are operating in Shanghai, I think the the American parks are going to open without shows. I just think they're not going to do it. I think they're going to do the character offerings like they did in Shanghai, where they're from a distance. You have like a series of like character hosts like standing there kind of like, hey, wave and say hi. Kind of basically like a army of people just so you can't go up to the characters. Because I don't think you can responsibly operate a full-on meet and greet right now. It's impossible.
Were they doing character meet and greets in Shanghai?
No, they were having the characters basically like stand there and like interact with you from like a distance. Like they would walk by and like wave and do a little dance or whatever.
But it's not as robotic as what it sounds like.
No, it's not. It was very cute. They would do like a little cute thing and they would interact with you. They just wouldn't physically touch you. And they have kind of like a wall of cast members there because kids are going to rush Mickey Mouse. Kids like Mickey
Here's
Mouse.
a good example. If you didn't see these videos, which Lane, it sounds like you did, it looked really similar to when we were in Toy Story Land in Orlando and all the Green Army soldiers walked by. And they're keeping everyone separate. The Green Army soldiers walk by. They stand in a line. They do a little show. Maybe they pull a person out from the crowd, which probably won't happen, but they do a little thing and then they walk away and there's kind of 3 cast members keeping a bubble around, which is a really creative way to get around it, honestly.
100%.
It can work still.
Exactly. You can still get your photo. You can still see the character and have a little moment. You're just not going to get like a facilitated meet and greet situation.
I mean, have you guys done the Raptor, what's it called? The Encounter at Universal here?
Exactly.
Like how they do that, because it's
it's
a big puppet, so they have to keep their space, and you have a space. You don't get to, if you realize when you actually take the picture, you're like a full 4 or 5 feet away from the thing. It's a huge, it's a huge puppet. So like that works, and it looks the same. So I don't think it'd be a big deal, especially, or maybe in Orlando, but like here at our parks, the characters just kind of meander around. You don't have like a set maybe like Launch Bay, fine. But like
Launch Bay and Pixie Hollow,
and there you go. But that's it.
Orlando doesn't have the like open characters walking around.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
They have their set thing.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it might be different for them. I don't think it'll be different for us.
Yeah, in Walt Disney World, I remember, in Avatar Land, they have like the guy in the big biomech suit. So that I'm sure that will still happen. I'm sure that the walking, tree people in Animal Kingdom will still be a thing, whatever they're called.
Right. Oh, what's her name? Oh gosh,
I can't remember.
Yeah.
There were some pictures
tree goddess or something
from Universal City Walk, like some live entertainers on stilts. They looked like circus people. They were there. They had masks on, but they were there doing whatever they usually do.
Yeah. But what they're going to do is they're going to stay mobile, so people don't stop and watch.
Yeah.
So you'll have like the Green Army men walking around Toy Story Land, but you'll have like cast members on each side, and they'll just kind of do like a full on, just like a stroll, waving, stopping for 2 seconds for a quick like selfie from a distance, and they'll keep moving, because if they stop, then people stop, and it becomes a show environment. So they'll keep moving. They'll probably have it'll be like a parade that's not a parade. It'll be like a very low key parade kind of thing.
Something I did not see in the videos and research, because say what you will about the character stuff, it'll get done in some capacity.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. What I didn't see, I saw like how they were doing the spacing in the lines, which I think would and could work when the American parks open, just because if you're limiting capacity, then you can limit the way that people stand in the lines. Just having those red spaces on the ground seems to make perfect sense to me. Barring some of like the really tight cues, like I'm imagining like Pinocchio and Peter Pan. That's going to maybe be a little interesting here. What were they? Well, before I go on, what were they doing about the ride vehicles? Because I didn't see if they were doing any like spray and cleaning when people are getting in and out. I didn't notice any of that. I don't know if you guys did.
I didn't either. The guidelines they got from the Florida government are pretty much what I expect the rides to be, which is hand sanitizer, entrance and exit of attractions, 6 feet apart lines. They're probably doing like half full ride vehicles, like one space between another.
So.
But I didn't see any proper footage of it from Shanghai.
Yeah.
That is so dumb. If you just have one car with no people and then one, it's just like.
Well, we were thinking that there would be no waits for rides, but if you're doing, even at 20% capacity, I mean, if you're doing like 1 to 2 people per vehicle, you're going to have about the same waits as you would have in a fully efficiency on the attractions.
It's just so silly. Like if you're a person who's really nervous about COVID, you're going to be like, well, I'm 1 car away from the other people. It doesn't make it. It's just like such an arbitrary thing that we just came up with to maybe make people feel better. Like, what's the difference between this and this? At that, I mean, that's just like such an arbitrary thing that they came up with.
As long as you've got one doom buggy,
right? Exactly. It's so funny.
So, what do you guys foresee? For Disneyland California, how do we foresee that reopening going? I think that they're probably going to follow in the footsteps of what they're doing in Orlando and have Downtown Disney probably open first, and then possibly kind of do the reservation thing. The reservation thing I really think they're going to do because, one, they're already experimenting with virtual queues, but also because that's how they do all their dining. It's like you make a reservation, you don't show up, then you get fined unless you cancel ahead of time, is how I think most of the Disney, sit down restaurants work. So I feel like they're just going to kind of extend those processes to the whole park. But I'd love to get your guys' opinions on that.
I'm just, one thing you were talking about Shanghai, we have to remember that Shanghai is a brand new park. Mm-hmm. And Disneyland is not. Disneyland is the oldest one of them all. And when we were talking about, I don't know which one we were talking about, the queues, is like, I could see them maybe even, Disneyland's the most densely packed park of all the Disney parks in terms of, so I could see them opening up a couple e-tickets maybe, but not opening up everything. Like I could see them closing off some of those Fantasyland, older dark rides, because Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, you're a sardine can.
Yeah.
So I could see them not opening that up. Matterhorn maybe just because of, so I could see like maybe like the big, what's Space Mountains, Buzz Lightyear, Star Tours. No, Star Tours definitely not.
Or they reconfigure the queues.
Yeah. I mean,
pick up all those things and make it so the queues are different, like differently spaced out.
Or just go digital. I mean, again, so Shanghai's easier because their park is built in an age where digital's an option. Our park has things that are still, you go to Fantasyland and some of those things still look super old. It's just, from a logistics standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if they do like a limited thing. There's so much to offer, they'll have Galaxy's Edge open. They'll have like they'll have the hits open, but they might have smaller little kid oriented rides or the older ones closed off for a while. I don't know. I could see that happening.
I think especially. Oh, go ahead, Lane.
I was just going to say, no way anyone is going to want to sit in that packed Storybook Land boat for a long time.
Right. I think it's a great point, especially with the Fantasyland queues are all switchbacks. There's no like moving queue. So even if you're 6 feet apart, I mean, you're going to be next to someone who's directly to the right or left of you.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I didn't really think about the fact, especially at Disneyland, where the queues are almost clever in their construction because they're taking a small amount of space and making it bigger. With something like Galaxy's Edge, I mean, the Rise of the Resistance queue has almost no switchbacks. It's just moving forward. And a lot of the newer, like Indiana Jones, it's pretty much just moving forward.
Pandora, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the older stuff that wasn't designed with, nothing was designed with a pandemic in mind. But things that are more like compacted, that's a tricky thing. I don't know how they're going to do it. They may just have those be like straight reservations. You walk through the exit, you ride it, you get off. They may not have a queue at all.
What's such a bummer about the whole thing is it's a perfect opportunity because you're right. This didn't even dawn on me, but those Fantasyland rides and things of that nature, it's going to be real tough to like convince people that it's okay to just stand that close next to a party. So it's a perfect time to just keep like all of Fantasyland closed-ish and touch up all those things. But there's no expendable cash right now that's just like easy to go and paint things.
Yeah.
Which is like I was reading even that Snow White, whatever they were doing for that, that's like on an indefinite hold. And that's like
that was supposed to be like a full refurbishment, like a really cool thing.
So it's just gonna stop halfway through. Like
they don't really have an option.
I know,
Disneyland already has like 2 major projects going. They got Mickey and Minnie, and that's already siphoning cash. And they have Avengers Campus that they're set back on. So that's
I think they resumed construction on campus last week.
And on Mickey and Minnie, they're both back. They're both back on construction. Yeah. So
something that is worth noting about the Six Flags thing, which I forgot to bring up, is it's when you get the reservation, it's tiered in terms of like a timing thing, really similar to how the boarding pass worked at Galaxy's Edge when it was in effect. So if you book it like at the first point that the thing becomes available, probably go at rope drop, right? But you have to get there between like 8 and 8:15 or whatever it is. But then at that point, you can stay the rest of the day. But if you book it really like late in advance, like really close to when the reservation period is, you might only be allowed in, let's say at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, but you can stay the whole day. It's not like at least at like the previews for Galaxy's Edge, I'm remembering, it was like a 4-hour window. Like you could go, you have 4 hours to do whatever, and then you have to leave. At Six Flags, they're tiering the like, but then you're good to stay the whole day. So I'd be curious to see if Disney does that. It stops like the rope drop crowds, in the piazza or whatever. Piazza, that's what is it called? The plot. What is the whatever?
Esplanade?
Esplanade.
Okay. I was like, what are you trying to say?
The piazza. I like that though, the piazza.
So it's I'm sure Disney will implement one of those kind of things, especially if they're going to be like favoring pass holders. Say what you will, if Disney's going to do that, I have a harder it would be easy to do that, but I have a hard time believing they will because of the stigma that would come behind it. But if they did, I could see them doing that because if a pass member has like 2 reservations in the span of a week or 2, what do they care if they can get there at 3 o'clock? Because they know they're coming in a couple of days, and it's a really limited experience anyways.
Yeah.
So I could see them doing that here, no problem.
That brings me to the Disney World. They're canceling June reservations for like the first 2 weeks, but in July you can still make hotel reservations. That's a thing that kind of broke on Twitter. I think that like the last 2 weeks of June, we may see a soft opening for Florida locals just to kind of guinea pig these things. Something very just like a send out, because they can't with Disney World is not like Disneyland where if you announce it's reopened, it's going to get flooded. That's just not going to happen. It's like you, to your point, Toby, it's such an international destination that if they announce on Twitter, and on Monday, we'll begin seeing pass holders to test out new things. They're going to come. Like people are going to be excited to go. Like Disney Springs is going to be busy on the 20th. It just is.
Absolutely.
Saw with City Walk. These people are still hungry to go. So I've been saying forever that I thought Disney World would open in June. I'm sticking by that because I'm stubborn. And I say the last 2 or so weeks, we'll see some pass holder things to come in and ride part or test out these new systems and stuff like that. And then July, like they said with the new hotel reservations, I think that's when we'll see a reopening as much as we can see a reopening at this point.
Do you think they're going to reopen all the parks or just certain ones? And if so, which ones do you think they'll reopen?
I am of the stark belief that Epcot's going to be closed. I think there's so much construction to do on Epcot. They're going to keep it closed.
That makes sense to me.
There is so much to do, and they are so behind. And if they want to reach that 50th, because now they're on a time crunch.
Yeah.
I think Epcot has to be closed. You got to do daytime construction. It can't just be nighttime and behind big walls. Like they got to be moving. I think Hollywood Studios will be open because Galaxy's Edge is still a huge draw.
Right.
Animal Kingdom will be open. Magic Kingdom, I don't know why they wouldn't be, but I think Epcot for sure will be closed.
Hollywood Studios, Minnie and Mickey's Runaway just didn't get the light of day. It opened and that was it. But Epcot has Ratatouille though, and that's
when was Ratatouille slated to open?
June, wasn't it?
Oh,
wasn't it this summer? It was supposed to open
in May. Like
right now, it was it was about to open. I mean, they could just hold it off and do here's a big opening of Epcot with everything. I don't know.
That's my thought. I think they'll open it with Guardians, with Mary Poppins on the 50th. It'll be a whole big thing. 3 new attractions in Epcot.
Yeah,
new Spaceship Earth.
I feel like that's definitely the marketing way that they'll go about it, especially because they've gotten so much flack with the half-baked openings of Pixar Pier and Galaxy's Edge. So I feel like they might definitely take this opportunity to open all at once.
Be a brilliant move for PR too. They would be beyond busy. Basically a brand new Epcot opening.
You've got 4 parks. You can do it.
What I was saying,
Disneyland can't do it. Disney
World
World can. You have 3 other offerings. If DCA closes, Disneyland will just be too busy. Disneyland closes, DCA no one would go. Who would go to Disneyland? I like DCA a lot, but it's Disneyland. That's what you go for. DCA is the fun extra day.
Dude, no, not even. When I go to Disneyland. I go to Guardians. I'll do Cars. I'll do Soaring. If I'm in the mood, maybe I'll do Mania or River Rapids, and I'm gone. I have a very strong opinion against Pixar Pier. I really don't like Pixar Pier, but that's for another time.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about
You're not allowed to talk that way. I like it a lot, but it's definitely a very contested topic in theme park fans.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one thing I do want to say before we end the convo on all of this is we have to remember that China and Shanghai are about 3 or 4 months ahead of us. And they have a completely different...
They closed in January, the parks did.
So, just imagine in California, you can't go out to eat yet,
Yeah.
So how are we going to open up Disneyland and expect people to be going on rides, sitting in the same seats, walking around like a big mall, but we can't go out and get food, right?
Especially the LA mayor and the LA health department just said most likely they're not just at quarantine, a stay-at-home order will be extended until July. So yes, Disneyland's in Orange County, but how feasibly, when you're that close to a place that's under a full lockdown, can you open a theme park? it's interesting because technically outside of county lines, but like so close.
Right. And it's all under Newsom anyways. So even whatever LA says, then you do all.
I could see City Walk reopening July, or downtown Disney reopening July. I don't see the parks. I don't see the parks reopening, and it pains me, but I don't even think they'll be open by August. I could September. Just where we are, because California. I hope I'm wrong. I'm always preparing for the worst. Here's another topic. You can talk about later on. It's just what's going to happen to Horror Nights. That's going to be a whole.
I don't want to talk about
it because that's going to be something else. But I just LA County. California's flattening the curve pretty well. We're doing well. We're keeping good progress. But I appreciate that we're doing things. But I don't see us. Until we can reopen malls, even
there's just too many people in the state.
Until we enter phase 3, we have to enter phase 3 of the 4-phase reopening. So I think when we enter phase 3, you're gonna see downtown Disney, and you're gonna see City Walk open up. But I just don't see the parks. The parks are phase 4. There's no way to put it, and that's not gonna happen for a while. So. I made the call. I got my pass extended whenever that happens. But I just think we're gonna be enjoying downtown Disney a lot more than we ever thought we would.
Just unfortunately,
I'll be going to Trader Sam's first.
Me too.
And I love Trader Sam's just as much as the Mexicans.
We'll all be there.
The thing is, we can barely go to the beach without it being like extremely taboo.
You can't sit. You can walk on the beach.
The beach is literally wide open. Nature. Now imagine going shopping and going to a restaurant to eat, which is all that downtown Disney and City Walk is. And I understand that we're seeing it open in Florida, and we've seen a park open in China, but putting it in perspective to what's actually going on feels like worlds away. And I wish it wasn't, because I'm just as excited as everybody else. But I mean, it's just so hard to even imagine. Out to a restaurant, let alone having that be a Disney restaurant.
Take what you can get. Take what you can get. That's all I'm gonna say.
Exactly. No, I have made like trips. Me and my girlfriend have been driving to different theme parks, just like driving around, seeing what we can see because we miss them so much. Mm-hmm. We've driven down like Disney Way, which has that like underpass that goes between downtown Disney. You can see the parks. The lights are off, which is super depressing. We drove to City Walk. Yeah, the coaster is not lit up. Nothing. It's really sad.
Nothing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we drove to City Walk. We've driven to Knott's a couple times. We thought about going to Legoland, but it's like an hour.
I don't want to go to Legoland so bad.
Dude, me too. I looked it up, and it looks like it's for 5-year-olds, but like I love theme parks, and I think it's awesome.
I haven't gone in like probably close to 10 years. I went a lot when I was younger, and it's a beautiful park. Like Lego parks are insane. Like Legoland.
We're planning a trip after the show.
Yeah, let's do it. No, it's a gorgeous, and I stayed in the Legoland hotel. I remember when I was like 11 or 12, and it was like the rooms are all so well themed. You walk in there, it's a giant ball pit of Lego, just start building.
Awesome.
It's a gorgeous place. It's a really underrated theme park that does theming better and a lot cohesiveness in a lot of ways better than even like Universal does. Mm-hmm. Like they're a beautiful park. Anyway, that's another conversation.
We miss theme parks.
Yeah. Yes,
we miss theme parks.
I was feeling nostalgic about Magic Mountain, man. I haven't felt nostalgic about Magic Mountain.
Oh, I went to Magic Mountain too. I did that.
6 years.
Jeez. We'll take a quick break, and while we're on break, we're definitely going to plan a trip to Legoland. But we'll be right back with some Percy Jackson news and more Tobias Lerman Matonte.
Hey guys, so if you want to make a podcast just like us and you have all the necessary equipment, co-hosts, topics, everything else, but you need a way to distribute the podcast, I'm here to tell you about our new service, Anchor. First things first, it's free. It's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
On my
Anchor
phone,
will distribute.
Jake?
Yeah, apparently from your phone, which is crazy. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other services. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
You're telling me, Chick, that I can make money from my podcast?
Yeah, which is crazy. It'd take a long time.
Oh my God.
But you could do it. So basically, it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Feel free to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Now, Jake, is that anchor like the big thing that you throw off the bow of a boat?
ANCHOR, right off the front of your boat.
Like Popeye's bicep.
Now back to the show.
And we're back. We are going to be talking about some Percy Jackson stuff. So it was confirmed, I think earlier this week, that Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, at least, or maybe just the whole Percy Jackson saga, is being turned into a Disney Plus original. I would love to get your guys' reaction to this. Personally, I was sort of a fan of the books when I was a kid, and then the movie was not great. And then the second movie was, because I think they did Sea of Monsters as well, was just bad. From what I heard, I didn't watch it. But this series that they're doing has a lot of people on Twitter excited. I personally will definitely check it out. I saw the Twitter video where they had like the writer Rick Riordan, or however you say his name. And he was like all excited. I was like, yeah, I bet, because he hasn't written anything as of late. So I mean, I'm excited. Spencer, what's your opinion?
Yeah, so I went on a little bit of backstory into the whole thing of why this is happening. I guess for the longest time, people have been like tweeting at the writer, like, you should do a Disney Plus series. You should do a Disney Plus series. Because I think 20th Century Fox had the rights because they made The Lightning Thief.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Is that a Chris Columbus movie? Wasn't it?
Maybe?
Maybe.
He did the first Harry Potter.
He did the first two Harry Potters, and then he did Pixels.
He really leveled up there.
That's
But yeah, they kept tweeting at Rick Riordan, and I guess he talked to Disney or something, and then they put out that video. He's like, "We did it, fans! Percy Jackson's coming to Disney Plus."
It was Chris Columbus.
Okay.
Yes.
What's interesting about it too is that apparently he's writing it. He tweeted like yesterday a picture of the screenplay, and it said like Percy Jackson the series, written by Rick Riordan. And it was in like final draft screenplay format.
He's so excited to get more money.
Oh, he's hyped. My biggest shock is like, I'm not like surprised. It's an IP with an interesting story. I remember the books were significantly better than the film adaptations, but I didn't think anybody cared anymore. Like I feel like they've been done for a long time.
Oh, he moved on to some other book series. Like he did that
Egyptian one.
Yeah, I read the first
mythology.
one of that, like Red Pyramid or whatever it's called. And I remember reading that one. And he moved on to just some other mythology as opposed to Greek, which I believe is the background of Percy Jackson, if I remember right.
He's like Poseidon's son, or
yeah. Oh, yes, of course. So I think he just moved on and did some other stuff. I'm not sure if I don't think he's been writing, like publishing anything lately. But he was pumping out books for a while. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes. I'm a little iffy about that. I mean, it's exciting for sure to hear that he's like so in it and so attached. But I mean, if you think about like the recent experience with what Fantastic Creatures or whatever,
J.K. Rowling writing the script.
J.K. Rowling writing the script of those movies. And
writing a novel and a screenplay are very different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fantastic Beasts. That's what.
Anyone who's seen Grindelwald and is a Harry Potter fan,
yeah,
can attest to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that sometimes having the author that involved is great of the source material, but obviously for big blockbuster type things where a lot of people are going to be watching. As of recent, with Fantastic Beasts, that just like puts a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. But obviously, we'll see what happens. I don't know. Fantastic Beasts was obviously Warner Brothers, and this is going to be a Disney thing. So,
I wouldn't hold my breath with this one. No, I mean here's why. It's just where we are right now financially for Disney, and don't forget, it's not like they have no new projects for Disney.
Right.
They still have a whole slate of Marvel projects that are halfway through production, and have had to be postponed for who knows what. And if the budgetary and this whole new shooting, we don't know how things are going to look in Hollywood for a hot sec. I see it like, it got the green light, but there's still no actors attached, just so nothing attached. So I'm a Percy Jackson fan. I read the books as a kid, and I was a big fan. I hated the movies. I didn't see the second one. I saw it first, and I was like, no, I'm done. But just from a production standpoint, where productions are right now, let's first make sure they don't cancel a Marvel project, their original Disney Plus things that haven't been developed yet, before we celebrate
WandaVision.
Before we celebrate like a high concept IP, like, because this is not a cheap IP either. This is going to be an expensive thing to produce. This is if you read the books, they're hard. They're hard to make. So I'm glad they got the rights or whatever. They sealed the deal. But Disney's going to be doing more cuts, I feel like, than investments for a hot sec. So let's make sure the shows that are still slated get developed first before we're like celebrating. Yeah, new multi-million franchise comes to the table. I mean, that's just my take. I'm happy. I hope it turns out well. I hope it's done well. I'm just like cautiously optimistic.
Right. I think that's a smart way to look about it. Do we know, is this confirmed to be live action? Because I do think that this could definitely be like a big animated thing.
I don't know. I don't think we've heard.
I would love to see that.
I definitely see that as a possibility, because we've already done like some, animated shorts and stuff. Like I think the recent one was Lamp Life, right? I haven't watched it, but
and
so we're doing
the Marvel What If show is a Marvel Studios produced show, but it's just going to be animated.
So they're sort of playing around with that, but I do think that if they wanted
and Clone Wars. I mean, that's
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, of course, yeah,
huge. Everybody's talking about Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. So
I definitely see that could be a possibility, and they're like, Clone Wars was obviously they're putting an end to a show that had started a while ago, but I feel like this could be an opportunity for like their first original big animated show that families can watch.
I'd bite.
Yeah, so I definitely think that could be a possibility, but obviously, live action would sell. So I guess we'll see how they go about that. Jake, did you give an opinion on it?
I don't have much. I think I fall more where Toby is, just because what was really exciting when Disney Plus launched, and what's still the most exciting thing about it, is that we're taking all of these giant IPs that we already know and love and have huge fan bases for, putting it all in one place. It's still really coming to fruition. I mean, a huge selling point for them right now is, hey, you can watch all of Star Wars. A year later, you can now watch all the Star Wars movies. And what's really exciting about it for me, is all of the Marvel shows. I'm a huge fan of that. Is anything, Pixar original that's coming out, or any of these big things. That's why we got, and I'm excited about Disney Plus, is taking things that we already know and love and putting the same amount of budget behind it, and just having it be for streaming and not straight to theaters. Which is awesome and fun. I'm so excited for these Star Wars shows and for the Marvel shows. Once those start, those are going to be like the thing. Mandalorian had me completely hooked. That was such a fun show.
Yeah, and like other animated releases, like they released Onward super early on Disney Plus, and that was massive. People I bet you like the amount of people that were subscribed to Disney Plus shot up because of that. Yeah. So I definitely see that, like, if they wanted to do this in an animated show, I definitely see that as being
it's just I'm more interested in them doing something like that as opposed to outreaching. Like, I couldn't care less about High School Musical, the musical, the series. Like, it is what it is.
I've heard it's good, though.
I know I heard it's good, but I could care less, and I'm not on Disney Plus for those kinds of things. I'm here to watch something like The Mandalorian, to watch something like WandaVision. I'm not here for Percy Jackson, honestly. So will I check it out? Yeah. Did I read the books when I was a kid and remember them fondly? Yeah. But is that like what I'm holding my breath for, or is that what's going to make me resubscribe? Like, not even close.
Right. let's switch gears a bit. Toby, you fairly recently went to Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea.
So jealous.
We would love to, because none of us have been. So we would love to get, your base impressions of what that park is like, especially compared to what we have here in America.
The most broad question of all time.
I know, exactly. I remember I remember you were sending me tons of like Snapchat videos the whole time you were there. And it looks amazing.
Wait, really quick. So when were you there?
I was there December. I was there January 2nd and January 3rd. Right. I spent New Year's, basically the day after New Year's. We spent New Year's near the resort already. And then the day after New Year's, and then January 1st and 2nd, I went to Disney Sea January 1st, and I went to Tokyo Disneyland January 2nd. It's a whole nother world in every aspect. I'll say that one park, every fan knows, everyone tells you, it's like Disney Sea is the best Disney park in the world. And you're like, I've always been like, I've heard it, but I haven't seen it. I can tell you one park, Disney Sea blew me out of the water. And I already had those, mile-high expectations. But Tokyo Disneyland underwhelmed me, like, significantly.
Really?
For what I've heard. Because they said it's the best castle park, and I really don't think so. I'll talk about, so Disney's, the one thing that you really notice when we talk about the crowds is the crowding there is like nothing you have seen here. Gone to like Disney World during peak season. I've gone to Disneyland during peak season. I've gone, when it's like these parks are super full and there's like a 50-minute wait for, I don't know, Winnie the Pooh. You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah. Right. I've gone to those but these parks are nothing like that. I got to Tokyo Disneyland. They tell you to get there like an hour before it opens. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Like I'll get there like half an hour before or whatever. And we got there 45 minutes before it opened. And the lines were stretching out, everywhere. And the level of crowding is literally insane. You have to basically get your fast passes and run and plan everything meticulously, or you will be eating an average of like 160 to 220, 30-minute wait for any e-ticket. And it's just a fact. The crowding is insane because the fandom we have here is nothing compared to the devotion they have over there. And that threw me off in a lot of ways. Disney Sea, I don't know, that park's just beautiful. And because it's one of the things that I've had a lot of strikes with Disney lately is just how IP heavy they've become.
Right?
They've been giving up the idea of a theme park that tells a story cohesively throughout its entire land for where can we put, Coco to say hi, or Elsa to, let's kill Maelstrom and put Frozen because, we can, or let's screw Future World. Here's Guardians of the Galaxy. Anyway, they are so devoted to that theme of cohesiveness. Walking like the Mystery Island, the one that's based on like Jules Verne's novels, is insane because it's like it's not so much about the rides. It's just the theming is so well done. You walk in there and you don't even think it's a theme park. Because when I'm at Disneyland, I'm still in my head. I'm at Disneyland. Here, it's like I'm in a book. Walk in there. You walk into this. They have this like around the volcano and the sounds. There's no music playing. It's just like the sounds of the sounds of like the mining materials or the submarines and the smells. Everything is just like it's a level of immersion that's just blows even Galaxy's Edge out of the water. It's just like this whole. I remember they have an Indiana Jones right there. There's this called Kingdom. There's this based on the Crystal Skull. The ride itself very similar to ours. I kind of like ours better as a ride, but the land surrounding it is like it's a jungle. And the queue is this big temple. Ours is like a temple. No, they have an enormous temple you step into. Even their smaller rides. They have this one called Voyage of Sinbad, right?
Dude, that looks so cool.
Dude, it's imagine if Small World were like get rid of Small World's nostalgia factor. We can agree it's not the best ride. I love Small World. I do. And I grew up on it, and every time I go, part of me hates myself, but I have to go on that ride because I love it. This is that on steroids. You know, this is the figures move. It's like the figures are like the small world size, but they move and they have this level of articulation that's just insane. They are like modern AA figures, and they have this everything. And that's right with no line. That one always was a fight. That was only like 5 to 10 minute wait. It was just crazy. You know, Journey to the Center of the Earth is it's one of those you have to just do, because the everything on that ride is just jaw dropping. And I only got to do it once because we got a fast pass for it, and the line never dropped below 200 minutes after that.
Wow.
Nothing. And I skipped a couple rides. They had, you know, Soarin' had just opened, and that was at 300 minutes.
Is that like Flights of Wonder?
Yeah, it's what I've heard is that's at Shanghai. There's this called Soarin' something else. Soarin' Fantastic Flight. There we go. I heard that everyone tells you have to do it because of the queue. They're like, you have to go on because of the queue. And I considered getting the fast pass, but I was just like, it's Soarin'. I love Soarin', but it's still it's still gonna be, you know, it's gonna be Soarin'.
Yeah. You're still gonna see Patrick Warburton.
Exactly. Oh, I don't know actually. I might have. But everything. It's all about the detail there. You know, their Tower of Terror is completely devoid of any IP. It's a completely original story, and they have these details where like it's just so beautiful. If I describe that park, I remember just walking in and being like, I'm just overwhelmed, because you walk in and it's like this Venetian looking like skyline with a volcano in the back and this big river, and you're like, well, how did you do this? So, I mean, I definitely didn't get to do it all one day. And it's definitely not about the rides. I can like they have great rides, definitely. There's definitely some amazing, but it's just about going there and just losing yourself in the fantasy, you know, because like they have a full size cruise ship there that is part of that has a restaurant in it, and you can just go explore. It's not a ride, but it's just something you just go explore.
Yeah.
They have a really popular show called Big Band Beat, I think it's called. It's a swing show, and the only way you can get in is people either line up from park opening because it's that popular, or you have to enter a lottery, and either you get tickets or you don't. We got tickets. I was like super like, and when you get tickets, when you're a winner, all the crew members are like, "Oh, you won!" You know, celebrating. But the show itself, I've seen a lot of Disney shows. It's a full scale production. They have a professional big band there, playing jazz at a level that's like you could see at a Hollywood Bowl or something. They have these dancers dancing swing era music. I don't know, and it just completely, it doesn't feel like a park. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you before you keep going on, because this is really cool, and I want to hear you talk specifics about their Disneyland, because I never heard that critique of it before. But before you go on, my bona fides coming into this conversation is I had a trip ready to go to Tokyo for our spring break. So I guess it was late March, which got canceled because of COVID, which is obviously a major bummer. The thing is, my dad started a new position where he's essentially going to Tokyo like every other month. So in the future, I probably will go. Once this thing blows over, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, I will hitch a ride with my dad, and I'll be there. Now, something that you said, which made my ears perk, is the lines. I never really crossed my mind. I just figured it was going to be like anything else. I ran into the same problem when I went to Disneyland Paris. I figured it wasn't going to be that big of a deal. I knew they had a fast pass system. I figured it worked exactly the same as ours. Maybe you can say the language gap is a little bit different. Maybe I didn't know the park as well as I should have going into it, so I didn't play it as well as I could have. But I do just want to hear you talk about the fast pass system first. It wasn't digital. It was the same. You put your physical ticket in the thing and you pop out of time.
You put here's the issue. Oh, everyone froze. Can you still hear me though?
Yeah.
Everything's good?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the issue with there, and it's a huge issue, and there's no way to overcome it. There is a Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea app. However, if you do not live in Japan, you do not have access to it.
Bro.
Whoa.
You do not have access to any of that. It doesn't matter. Like, you can't change your VPN. There is nothing you can do. If you are not a Japanese citizen, you do not get that app. and that immediately puts you at a huge disadvantage. So you are stuck with the paper. You are stuck with the paper tickets. And what I will tell you from the fast pass system is we were in Tokyo for almost a month. We were there for like a while, and that was the last thing we did was go to Disneyland, for that reason. And you have to just plan it meticulously, because when you think, they tell you have like a minute window, like a 5-10 minute window before everything fills up. And I'm like, that's not possible. Usually they tell you that at these parks, you get there and you have like, for Horror Nights, for example, they always tell you to get there early. I've always been able to get there, early entry, whatever. I can do all the mazes in an hour and be done by like 11. Yes. You can do that.
That's
can't.
That's been my experience too.
Exactly. You can't do that in Tokyo. There's no way to do it, unfortunately. So you have to just, what are your priorities? How are you going to do it? And be ready to get there an hour before opening. And as soon as it opens, book it, because people run. People literally run to get the fast pass. It does. So like if I were you have like a 10-minute window, go on one of the e-tickets and get a fast pass for another one. That you have to do that as soon as you can. Skip things like they have a Toy Story Mania that's never going to drop under 200 to 300 minutes. There's nothing you can do about it. It's the same ride. It's beautiful from the outside. It's very Victorian. Just don't worry about it. Tower of Terror, luckily, I was able to get a fast pass for. But your priorities always have to be, you have to just know what you want. So your priority number one, Journey to the Center of the Earth has to be a priority. Has to. They will run out of fast pass halfway through the day. And there's just not much you can do about that. Oh, hello. My Zoom's not reopening. Give me a second. Anyway, I'll keep talking.
I hear you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So there's just nothing you can do about that. And it's a sad fact. But yeah, just plan what you want to do. Tower of Terror, they have a 20,000 Leagues Beneath the Sea ride. It's amazing. You get to control your vehicle. You're like discovering stuff. It's an incredible ride. You can't do anything though. Like about there's just not much you can do about the fact that you can't get a fast pass. So go on every forum you can go on. Do all the research you can and plan it out so that when you get there, the map like the map like the back of your hand, and you can just hit what you want to hit up as soon as you need to. Because it did kind of take away from my experience was just how crowded that park is. And for like shows or parades, it's the same type of thing. It's a big park. It's an enormous park. It's a very spaced out, very thought out park. There's just not much you can do when you can get 3 or 4 fast passes for the whole day, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, I see that. I like how you were saying the theming of it is like almost as impressive as the attractions, and it's like
absolutely
as fun. And I found the same thing about Paris. I know it's a completely different park, obviously, but kind of the charm of that. It's not like they have that one ride other than like Phantom Manor that like the general public can point to and be like, that's the thing you got to do. It's the coolest part about that park. By the way, when I was there, Phantom Manor was down. So, but the part that was cool about it was like all these walkthroughs, and under the castle is the dragon and Wonderland Maze and things like that, to the point where as long as I got on Space Mountain, as long as I got on their Big Thunder, those were like the things I really knew I wanted to do. And that was it. The rest of the day was consumed by me just like wandering around and seeing how cool these things looked, wandering up into the castle and things like that. So I see that, which is very different than at least the Disneyland parks. There's nothing like, other than like Tom Sawyer Islands, it's nothing like you want to just like wander around and have fun at. So that's cool, because I love that aspect of Paris. We don't have anything like that here. So that's cool, because I can imagine Paris probably looks like crap in comparison to Tokyo anyways. So that's really cool.
All right. Well, that has been Toby's Tokyo guide. Right. Make sure you listen back when you're planning on going to Tokyo. Lastly, we are going to do our picks of the week. I'll start off with mine. So my pick of the week for this week is not quite Disney related, but sort of intertwines, and I'll explain that. But they added Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's mine.
To Netflix, which is a Dave Filoni show, in case you didn't know.
Seriously?
He directs
Yep.
some of the episodes.
I had
He directs
no
the
idea.
pilot. Yeah, you gotta go and watch it.
Literally so much sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I've been watching that. I've only seen a couple episodes besides that. And so now I'm watching it all the way through. And I'm really loving it. I'm about 2 or 3 episodes in, but I love what I've seen so far. Spencer,
Had you never seen it before?
No.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, I know.
Don't watch the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah. I think I've seen that, or at least seen part of it, because it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just say before we go to Spencer's, because mine is Avatar too. I watched 5 episodes yesterday because the thing's only been on Netflix for the day, literally.
Yeah.
I'm so into it. You can tell that it's Dave Filoni. I don't know if you guys watched the gallery Mandalorian thing.
I still need to.
Okay, well, in the first episode is about directing, and they go and talk about everybody in their relationship with Lucasfilm. And when it gets to Dave Filoni, he talks about, I was working on Avatar, and I got a call that said George Lucas wanted to interview me about a potential Star Wars CG animated show. And he was like, I thought it was the SpongeBob guys pranking me. I had, I knew that they were developing a show. Why would they ever want me involved? But it feels so Disney adjacent. I mean, this thing is burned into the back of my memory, while at the same time I don't remember the names of the characters or anything like that. It's such cool world building, but also is wrapped in that early to mid 2000s kids TV show where they're still making dumb, literally fart jokes.
Hello.
But it's what's up? But it's literally
Welcome back.
Sorry.
We lost Toby there for a couple minutes, but he's back.
I'm so sorry. My computer decided it just wanted to die on me, so it's having an issue. So it's stuck frozen on restart. Anyway, on my phone.
A smooth transition, anyways.
I'm not sure what are we talking about now. I'm not sure.
We're doing our picks.
Shoot.
So whatever.
Okay.
If you've seen anything Disney related in the last week, feel free to plug that. If you haven't, go ahead and plug anything you want to.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So why don't you go ahead? What have you been watching?
Oh, me?
Sure.
Oh my goodness. Disney related? I don't know. My girlfriend has been wanting to. My girlfriend is wanting to watch the prequel trilogy for Star Wars, and I've been putting that off as much as humanly possible. She's just she's seen all the other ones. She's like, I want to see the prequels, and I'm like, no, you don't. Yes, I do. No, you really don't want to see the prequels. There's no convincing her, so I guess I'm gonna have to just watch the prequels at some point. So, I think that's what I'm gonna have to watch. I have, Artemis Fowl. I just haven't had the interest. It just doesn't look. Is
it on Disney Plus already?
No. I want to talk about this later because I was going to talk about it after Tokyo Disney. Just because my dad has access to a screener. Yeah, I just I don't know. That one just doesn't look too interesting to me, but I'll probably check it out. In all honesty, I've just been binging Community for the last couple of days. So that's my 2 cents Disney wise. I haven't really been watching too much. I'll probably have to watch the trilogy, so I'll probably have something for next time. But yeah,
Nice.
My picks wise, that's all I got.
Nice. Spencer, what about you?
I have not watched a lot of Disney programming in the last couple weeks or so. I know that Disney did the whole halfway to Halloween thing.
Oh yeah,
they were doing that on Twitter. So I watched the Mickey Mouse short where Goofy's like a zombie skeleton. It's the newer one, and Goofy chased him around. I remember what it's called. It was funny. I guess my pick is those new Mickey Mouse shorts. They're 5 minutes. They're really strange, but I think they're funny. Yeah, no, they're really funny. So I'd probably recommend those. For adult listeners, the Rick and Morty adjacent show debuted on Hulu called Solar Opposites. It's really funny. It's really, really fun. It's up there with, I think it's on par with Rick and Morty.
Okay.
And I wrote a review for it for the Cinema Spot. So if you're interested in my full thoughts, it's up there. But yeah, for Disney picks, I would say those Mickey Mouse cartoons are a lot of fun. What's nice, you can just kind of click on one, and then it'll start auto playing the rest of the shorts kind of afterwards. So it's nice, like to have like I like it having it on the background when I'm doing some work or something, just because I can, you know, it's like pleasant TV. It's pleasant background noise. It's Mickey doing silly things and hijinks. Yeah. But Solar Opposites is really funny if you're an adult and ready for that humor.
Amazing. I'm definitely going to check that out. But besides that, we are going to end things off because we had a hard cutoff point today and we blew past it. So thank you all for listening to another episode of the Disney Deconstructed podcast. If you'd like to further support our show and what we do, visit us at anchor.fm/Disney Deconstructed. There you can see every listening platform we're currently available on. Visit our Instagram and YouTube page, send us messages related to the show, and even sign up to make monthly donations to further support us and keep these episodes rolling out in a timely fashion. Make sure to check out the rest of the Deconstructed Podcast Network and give us a follow on Twitter at Lane Calder, at Jake Moody 98, and at Spencer Bennett 7. Toby, thank you for joining us today. Plug yourself and tell people what you're up to and how to find you.
Oh my goodness. I actually have not used Instagram in forever. I think I'm at Tobias Lerman. Yeah, I'm probably at Tobias Lerman. And if anyone wants to see anything cool, I am directing and producing a really cool animated short called Jupiter, the Bringer of Jollity. It's very Fantasia-esque, very Disney-ish. We have some really cool footage we've uploaded, and we're continuing to work on it. We're in the storyboarding process now, and you can follow that at The Planet's Jupiter. No, The Planet's Animated. It's on Instagram. You can probably find it on my profile, and yeah, just follow us there. We'll be posting an animatic very soon, and just check it out. It's a 2-year project. Lane knows about it. and yeah, so check us out.
Amazing.
Thank you guys, of course, for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. You can also spread the word about our show by telling a friend and helping us grow our small community of Disney fanatics. Again, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you with more Disney news next week.